Okay, so to start off, my mom's a teacher at a small town elementary school. At the time, she taught first grade, and after school, instead of riding the bus, I would go to her classroom. So there was always one janitor that was off. He would stare at all the kids and yell at them when they were in the hall alone to watch out for strangers. Nobody got a good vibe from him, and he had the creepiest dead eyes that looked like he was trying to look into your soul. He also had a very weird voice, like he had no emotions at all. My friend's mom was also a teacher, so me and her sisters would often hang out. One day, her youngest sister, who was in kindergarten at the time, went to use the bathroom, and when she came back, she said something that drained the color from all of our faces. And the creepy guy asked if I was in there, and I said yeah, and he still came in. When the janitors clean the bathrooms, they have to make sure no one is in there, and if someone responds, they have to wait to clean. We rationalized that maybe he didn't hear her. He always did little stuff like that, and it creeped us all out, but we thought he was just a creep. A few months later, we found out he was being transferred to a new school, and that was a relief. Years go by without anything strange happening until I noticed cops outside every entrance of the school. I asked my mom why they were there, and she told me Stewie, the janitor, was caught sneaking into the girls' locker rooms and attempting to rape the two girls that were changing. When he was arrested, he said that he would kill the principal, the superintendent, and anyone who got them fired, so that's why the cops were there to protect anyone at the school. So, creepy janitor guy, let's not meet again. I was 11 years old. I spent the night hanging out with my closest friend at the time. I left around 7 o'clock. She was about a 15 to 20 minute walk away from my house. It was the month of December, so it was icy and dark outside. While I was walking down the long sidewalk, I had to make a turn halfway. Across the turn down the sidewalk, I noticed a man way further down. He was alone at that moment. 10 seconds later, a 4-door car drove up to him. It was a long street till my turn, so I watched him talk to whoever was in the car. It sped off, and he just stopped, watching me walk. As I kept walking, all I heard was, "Hey you, come here. Stop. Hey you." I freaked the fuck out. I started walking faster, and then noticed he started running towards me. I started running for my life. Since the ground was covered in snow and ice, all I literally thought as I was running was, "Please God, don't let me sleep. Mom, please help me." I was crying as I was running. He caught up extremely fast. I kept looking back and noticed the car slowly driving behind him. As I ran, I felt his arm reach out and try to grab the hood of my sweatshirt. By God's grace, his hand slipped, and I ran a block trying to find a house with its lights on. I finally found one and banged at the door, almost ready to break it down to get in. This older couple finally answered. I ran inside, explaining what happened. The husband then went outside to try to find them. When he went out, he saw the man standing at the end of the street staring at him, and then he ran off. My mom called the cops and pulled me out of school for 4 days afterwards. He was never found. For a while after, I would buy flowers and a card and leave it on the couple's step, thanking them for saving my life. God only knows what would have happened if he got me and dragged me to that car. Let's never meet again. This situation is still developing, and I'm afraid for my mother's safety. We have reported it to the police, and they have patrolled the area a few times, but don't seem to be taking seriously. If you have any suggestions or theories, I would greatly appreciate it. My mom and I live alone in the rural Midwest. Closest neighbors are about a mile away. Thursday morning, my mom walked to her car to find small pieces of paper blowing around in the glass around the car and a bag sitting on top. The notes are very disturbing and sexually graphic. Some of them imply that he's watching her and that he can see her at the very moment. Inside the bag, 2 glass dildos. She's not a very social person. She doesn't have any enemies or even friends who would do this. She reported it to the police right away. One of our neighbors drove by our house that same morning and noticed a man in his 20s with rotting teeth and brown hair walking down our gravel road away from our house. They asked him his business, and he claimed to be waiting for a ride, indicating his car had broken down or something. That night, a man fitting that description knocked on our door, one that we never use. She was alone, so she turned the lights off and called the police. They didn't arrive for 45 minutes. She said he was wearing a large black cowboy hat and carrying 2 large bags. He looked similar to our neighbor's description, but this time he was close enough for her to notice freckles. A little while ago, we noticed he had been in the garage and stolen 2 full gas cans. There are a lot of outbuildings and land, trees and hills for him to hide. My house has a lot of windows. We have begun keeping the doors locked and windows and curtains shut. I'm paranoid and terrified. My mom is mostly angry, but she shouldn't feel unsafe in her own home. What do we do? Why would a person do this? I will respond to questions as I can. I also can provide pictures of the notes and the contents of the bag if there is any interest. I appreciate any feedback. This encounter happened to me a while ago. I couldn't share it for a long time. For some background, I live in the country, Ohio. Down a long drive, fields on 2 sides, woods in the back. I'm about a mile away from the town, so if I need police, I have to call a sheriff. I live with my husband and Boxer. The night this happened, my husband was getting some overtime at his factory. It was a Saturday, and he was working 3rd shift. I had spent the evening at my parents' house and didn't head home until around midnight. I stopped in town at our 24-hour gas station to get some drinks and chocolate and a beef jerky for my dog Elise. As I exit the gas station, I get this feeling that's so strong. I just look around because I knew someone was outside with me. Over to my left, about 20 feet away, is a girl in a really cute little dress with a white horse mask on. Just standing there. We stared at each other for a minute before I hopped into my car and quickly pulled out onto the road, almost hitting a light pole as I belatedly checked my backseat for danger. That was unnerving, but I was home just a few minutes later, giving Elise jerky and eating chocolate and watching TV. All of a sudden, my dog takes off down the hall to the back porch barking and growling and attacking the window. I run in there, afraid a window was going to get broke again. Elise broke a window trying to get a coyote once already. And I stopped dead in my tracks. There, standing at the window, is a horse mask. Again, we stared at each other. I looked over to the back door. Was it locked? Shit, I can't remember. Horse mask looks over at the door. I slowly walk over to it. So does horse mask. We both reach for the knob. It was locked. Horse mask looks behind her, and for the first time, I look around my backyard. There's a guy in a horse mask too. I'm like, okay, this is enough. I'm calling the cops. I got Elise and shut the door to the porch, and I went to the living room to get my cell phone. Of course. I left my phone in the car when I carried my stuff in the house. In my car, that's in my garage. My dark garage. Basically lacking any choice, I opened the door to the garage and tried to open my car door, but oh, guess what? I must have locked it and I didn't have the keys. I crept back into the house. No sign of Elise. No horse mask in the backyard that I could see from the kitchen window. I grabbed my keys and got the phone. I called the sheriff and told them what happened, and I was followed home and alone. They asked if they were still outside. I looked out of the windows room by room. Nothing. Until I got to my front yard. Right out front, there they were, just standing about 100 feet away holding hands, staring. I honestly was crying at this point to the dispatcher, who assured me someone would be there soon. As I stood there, clearly on the phone, the girl waved. Then they walked hand in hand down my lane out of sight. It took the sheriff 10 minutes to get there. They found nothing. Told me the guy probably sat in a car and they followed me. Just kids being kids, they said. My dog didn't come out of my bedroom the rest of the night. I sat up listening to silence until my husband got home. A couple of weeks later, someone from the sheriff stopped by to follow up. They said they checked the camera at the gas station, but all it shows is the girl walk up by the dumpsters and stand there until I left, and she walks away.